What is going on, 5-9 gamers? My name is Joe Wags, bringing you another video on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel here over on 5-9 Gaming. 5-9 Gaming is your source for all things gaming, anime, and entertainment related. Please like and subscribe to be up to date on all the things 5-9. So in today's video for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I've kind of been thinking about and working on like some various beginner guides and things like that. So a video I thought would be kind of fun is to do a budget guide on some cards that maybe you can use to fill your deck on a budget. So I might do more of these on other things if people want me to, if you have suggestions. But in this video, we're going to look at the best budget spells and traps you can use in your game. And what I'm going to do is this is going to be a top 10 spells and traps that I feel like are very good and viable that you can use for filler in decks. And they're all going to be rare or lower. So they're going to be rares or ends, basically, all the cards I'm going to talk about. Now, the disclaimer here is that I'm choosing cards that are splashable in basically any deck. So there are going to be better cards of this rarity like that do better things, but they're going to be tied to specific themes or archetypes. So you'd have to look at your deck. So I wanted this to be kind of a video that anybody could use. So let's say you're trying to make a deck, right? So I'll just use Madolche as an example because that's what I use in all my videos. But let's say I'm trying to make a Madolche deck and there's some URs that I don't have enough coins to buy yet. But I want to play with the deck and kind of try it out, right? So usually what I like to do is I just find some good filler options I can put in so the deck is at least runnable until I get the UR tokens I need to make the cards I want, right? So that's kind of what this video is for, is to find spells and traps that you can use to maybe fill out some decks. They're very splashable. You can use them in pretty much any deck you run, right? Now, for me, being a veteran player, I've been playing for a long time, since Pharaoh's Servant basically came out when Jinzo first dropped. So that's how long I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a very long time. I think it's over 20 years. So a lot of these recommendations are basically going to be cards that were meta at one point, and over time they have died off because the gameplay is a lot too fast or cards aren't as useful. But I still think a lot of these cards, even though you're not going to see them in a lot of top tier decks all the time, some of these cards I wouldn't be surprised to see splashed every once in a while here and there, right? So let's go and hop in. So this is going to be my top 10 spell and trap cards that are rare or lower that can be splashed into basically any deck. So some of these are definitely going to be more useful than others, right? So, and these are going to be in no particular order. I'm just going to put them in the order that they ended up in my box here. So the first one we're going to look at is Lightning Vortex. This is basically a poor man's Raigeki. So Raigeki is a UR. So if you want something that's going to be like a monster board wipe, you can get Lightning Vortex. Now Vortex, definitely like at some point you're going to want to take it out of the deck. It's got two negatives to it. One is you have to discard a card. And the second negative is that it doesn't destroy face down monsters, right? Now Vortex could actually be a plus on some decks because there's some decks where monsters might get effects off of being discarded and then you might actually want to run it. But if you're looking for something to replace like Raigeki or Dark Hole and you don't really have enough to buy the SR or the UR, you could go ahead and put Lightning Vortex in. It's an R, right? So that's the first one. The second one I'm going to toss out is a little situational, but it's called Dimensional Fissure. Now this card's only an R, and Dimensional Fissure, the reason why I threw this one on the list is because it is a card where if you open with this, even against like top tier decks, if you open with this and they don't have an answer to it, some people might just scoop. Because basically it makes it so any monster sent to the graveyard is banished. This can be quite powerful because a lot of decks have graveyard effects, things where they need the graveyard, and if you take that away from them and they can't deal with this card, it can actually help you win some matches. I would just be very careful about when and what deck you use this in personally, because it's going to affect you as well, right? So if your deck can get away with like monsters being banished and you don't really care about that, then I think Dimensional Fissure is actually a good play. But if it really hurts your deck, don't put this one in. This is why I'm giving you 10 cards that you can use, because keep in mind, some of these cards you could play 3 of and really fill out a deck quick, right? And because they're R's and N's, it's gonna be very easy to craft these. So that's why I'm doing this video, right? Okay, the next one I think is very good. Mystical Space Typhoon. This used to basically be a 3 of in almost every deck back in the day. Mystical Space Typhoon had periods of time where it was limited to 1 or 2 because it was so powerful. It's a very simple card. It's just a quick play, destroy a spell or trap. This is a very good filler card. Now, we have more powerful cards like Harpy's Feather Duster, Twin Twisters, things like that people can use. Some people even like Galaxy Cyclone over this. So there are definitely more powerful options. It's just that they're higher rarity, right? So once again, as a low rarity option, I think Mystical Space Typhoon is always just a good throwing card, because Spell and Traps can be a really good thing to get rid of, right? Another one's going to be Book of Moon. Now, Book of Moon is a card that can be powerful in a couple ways, and the reason why it was in the meta was because back in the day you could flip an opponent's monster face down to basically take away their effect. You could flip your own monster face down to like protect it from certain effects that maybe targeted a face-up monster or something like that. And it's a quick play, so it's a very versatile card. Now, the reason why Book of Moon fell off over time is largely because we have monsters like Link monsters, that can't, there are monsters like that they just can't exist in defense mode. So like you can't even Book of Moon some of the more powerful monsters, so it does lose some value there, right? But as a filler, I think there are still some ways you can mess people up. If people are going for like synchro plays or something, you can flip one of their monsters face down. It no longer has a level, so they can't synchro with it, things like that, right? So Book of Moon can be a decent little filler option. Forbidden Chalice, this one, like, to me is better than just a filler option. I think this is like a legit runnable card. I actually main this in my Madolche deck. You guys notice that in the meta, cards like Infinite Impermanence are like everywhere. Like Infinite Impermanence is considered a staple to a lot of people because monster effect negation is like the king. Like that's like really, really important. And being able to do it on your opponent's turn or as like a quick effect is really important, and that's what Forbidden Chalice does. It's a quick play spell card. Target one face-up monster on the field. Until the end of this turn, it gains 400 attack, but its effects are negated. So it actually has a slight multi-use, right? So the more common use is you basically drop this on your opponent when they activate a monster effect. Sure, you're going to give them 400 attack, but you negate the effect, which is really important. But the other side of it, it's very less common for this to happen, but there can be a time where your opponent is trying to attack over your monster and the 400 is just enough for you to either tie or get over. You can really mess up your opponent just by adding the 400 attack to your own monster as a little bit of a defensive option. So Forbidden Chalice might be like on this whole list. It might be like the best card in my opinion. And you could definitely slot that in at 2 or 3 in a deck. So once again, we'll just talk about substitutions, but let's say you can't afford to get 3 Infinite Impermanence. It's a UR, right? Sliding in 3 of these isn't the worst option, right? Like, it's a good card. So Forbidden Chalice, don't sleep on that as an R. I think that actually might be the best card on this list. Speaking of that, we're going to also look at Forbidden Dress as another option as well. So this one, you can subtract 600 from a monster, and then it can't be targeted or destroyed by other card effects. So usually what you'll use Forbidden Dress on, and I like Chalice way better, but Dress can be useful. So like if you have like a big powerful monster out, right, and your opponent tries to destroy it, you can actually drop Dress on your own monster, lower it by 600, but then protect it from getting destroyed. The bad part about it is you could put yourself in a position to where they could attack over you, but it depends on the situation, right? The other way you could use this is you could use it to drop an opponent's monster by 600 and then attack over it. So kind of like Chalice, it has that similar utility, but I think Chalice is just hands down better. So I would definitely play Chalice over Dress, but maybe depending on your deck, you like the idea of protecting your monster more. You could try Forbidden Dress. I do think it's a decent option. I had to throw Waboku in here. So Waboku isn't a card that it's not really going to like help you beat your opponent down or anything. It's more of a stall card. But Waboku is one of the few cards in the game that like literally you play it and there's no way your opponent can possibly kill you on that turn. So it's just a card to help you extend into another turn, give you a little bit more playing time. Literally you just play it and you can't take any battle damage this turn. And monsters can't be destroyed by battle. So you can't take damage to your life. Your monsters can't get destroyed. It's literally like just guaranteeing you're going to survive a turn. Once again, it's not going to be the most effective card, but if you're playing more of a stall type deck, it could work. Definitely, it's like a main in Exodia decks usually. But it is splashable. Like you can, once again, let's say you have 39 cards and you don't know what to do for the 40th, and you don't have like the UR tokens or SR tokens, you could always throw Waboku in. It's kind of like just extending to get to another turn to where maybe you can make more plays, right? Next, we're going to talk about Torrential Tribute. This is probably out of what I've shown here, probably the best board wipe card that is going to be in the R and lower category. Torrential is just on summon, destroy all monsters on the field. It's basically a dark hole. So if you don't have SR tokens and you can't get the dark hole, Torrential Tribute can be a good substitute for it. Torrential is a card you will see once in a while in the main meta because some decks really benefit from having their own monsters destroyed. And actually being able to do that's kind of a good thing for some people. But Torrential, it's just a very good slot in board wipe card if you need it. Okay, next we're going to talk about Bottomless Trap Hole. Basically, if your opponent summons a monster with 1500 or more attack, you can destroy it and banish it. This was pretty meta back in the day in older formats. I think we saw this a lot in the R and N Festival. Actually, a lot of these cards, you probably may have seen them in the R and N Festival that we had recently. But Bottomless, it's a good card. It does have a restriction, though, that it has to be 1500 or more attack. So that can be a detriment because there are a lot of actually decks that run good cards that are lower than that, and they can just keep linking and going into crazy things, right? But Bottomless, if you just need something that can slot in and banish a card, it could be decent. And then the last one I have on here that was really good back in the day, I do still think has some use, is Compulsory Evacuation device. Basically, you just target a monster and return it to the hand. What I like about Compulse is that there's a lot of monsters that like can't be destroyed by card effects, things like that. But this doesn't destroy the monster, it returns it to the hand. And this is really, really useful on extra deck monsters because since they can't exist in the hand, it'll send them back to the extra deck. So if they bring out like a big bad Link monster, Xyz, Synchro, something like that, you can just throw it back to their extra deck and then it's gone. So Compulse, I think, can actually be a very decent option as well. So there you go, guys. I would say on this list, the two that I would say are the most useful just slot in would probably be like MST, Mystical Space Typhoon, and Forbidden Chalice. I really like those two. Like, and once again, it depends what you have. If you've already got access to like Feather Duster and Twin Twisters, then yeah, maybe Mystical Space Typhoon isn't the way to go. But for me, Forbidden Chalice might be the best card on this list. I think it's very useful. It's a great substitute for Infinite Impermanence. So hopefully, guys, this helps you out, just helps you fill out some decks. Let me know what you think. If you want to see another video like this for maybe monsters or extra deck stuff, please let me know in the comments and I might consider making another one. So anyways, thanks for joining me here over on 5-9 Gaming. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.